Hello, it is Jay checking in with the final check-in for Fleet of Knives, number 2 in the Embers of War trilogy by Gareth L. Powell. And oh god, this fucking book. The first book was, in the parlance, was 3 stars. This is definitely 2 stars. Um, okay, I'm not going to do the big overview, the review. I will do the review tomorrow once I've gathered my disparate thoughts. Make a list and either do it tomorrow or the next day. Um, fuck. Yeah. Um, it kind of goes more into the bloviating. Um, oh, what have I done? Um, kind of war is terrible, and I'm mourning, and totally unconvincingly in the middle of this. I sort of wish that Gareth L. Powell just kind of gave into more of his pulpy instincts, and like there's a guy named Johnny Schultz who's like a dashing, well, not dashing, but a wannabe kind of rogue, and he completely fucks up and decides to grow up. And you get the sense that Gareth L. Powell wrote like the Ack Macaque books, and then he decided he needed to grow up. And so he was going to do a serious book about war, with a war crime at the beginning, and the fight for peace. And what he's written is something that seems like as dumb as a bag of hammers, to be honest. And it's like one of these things, if it was like cartoony characters and you kind of leaned into the ham, it would be fun, dumb bag of hammers. But, and you people would congratulate themselves by discerning that maybe there was a deeper meaning underneath the silliness. But unfortunately, he actually is trying to be serious, and it doesn't work. And yeah, I'm gonna have to think about this, because they use the thing of like trouble dog is like a shark. If it stops moving, she'll die, and thinks that is such a profound statement that they use it once, and I'm like, oh god, I can't believe you used that cliche. And then for the very end of the book, uses it a second time, repeats it a second time, which like sums up the book. It's like it thinks it's smart, and it really doubles down on thinking it's smart. Other than that, it is kind of pulpy. It's like in the first book, a trouble dog has to dive into a narrow opening to get away from its attackers. In this book, it has to dive into a narrow opening, this time on the generational ship, the Lazy Itch or whatever the fuck it's called, to get away from its attackers. Um, in that book, a crew member dies. In this book, a crew member dies, and in both cases, Sal is like broken up inside about it. And it's like, how will she go on? And it's not convincing. And I think in this book, there's that much more of, there's a scene just before the character gets it where it's like, will you be my sister? And it's like, she turns around and it's like, she's tough as nails, and you think maybe she's going to tell you to fuck off, but it's like, yeah, I'll be your sister. And then of course you think, well, then one of them is going to die, and indeed one of them does die, and it's the not viewpoint character Sal. So, and yeah, Ona Sudak, who was sort of an interesting character in the last book, in this book has learned nothing from the last book, and goes out. It's like it was committing it in the first book. She committed a genocide at the beginning of the beginning of the story, and was writing poetry and trying to kind of come to terms with what she had done, kind of on the run. And in this book, she escapes from that, from being executed for that, really passing on all blame, quickly, swiftly passing the blame on, and then diving right back in with the Marble Armada in this book of creating of committing mass genocide. Well, not of destroying all the military things and forbidding going to commit mass, in effect, commit mass genocide by cutting off this wide sprawling galactic empire from itself, where like some of these planets will not survive; they will die, and it's like, but it's for peace, and the yeah, I've already detailed how boneheaded, dumb I think they are, and if they're, it's one of those things of like, if there's something hidden behind here of reasoning why they're doing what they're doing, well, you got to let us in, or else we're just going to have to come to the conclusion that they're fuckheads. They're psychotic fuckheads, which seems to be the case, which makes it hard to take seriously anything of like, oh well, the only way for peace is to just murder everyone. That's not a particularly deep message to come out with at the end. That said, I've downloaded the third book. I'm going to listen to it on audio. Gareth L. Powell would be a tremendous pulp fiction writer. He writes short little chapters, little bursts, has engaging characters when they're not being complete fuckheads. Needs to work on his villains because his villains are just boring. But I like, thing. He's got the right impetus of like, hey, let's make family, found family units in here. But yeah, really, really uneven. I'm not expecting things to suddenly resurrect by the end, but I guess I'll have the grim satisfaction of finding out what the fuck's up with this Marble Armada at the end. And of course, I'm expecting in the next book, Trouble Dog will have to dive into something else narrow again, that there will be another uber villain on top of this uber villain, and we'll go from there. Yeah. They'll probably have to team up to take on the ultimate villain from the higher dimensions, because that's the other thing, is this higher dimension gigantic praying mantis with diamond teeth, something like that like to take bites out of spaceships, and you need a human eye to be able to track it because the ship's eyes don't do it. And apparently the Marble Armada has like 50,000 human eyes that they got from their unwilling makers, who then took off because they were obviously maybe freaked out by this Marble Armada that harvested all their eyes for the greater good, because it very much feels like that it always tells its greater good. And indeed, at the end of this book, Sal is going to give up her eye for the Trouble Dog to have. So she's going to get to wear an eye patch. She better wear an eye patch. That's like all cool pirates and cool action pulp heroes get to wear. It's like Gareth L. Powell has all these pulp fiction instincts. Needs to just lean into this and give up trying to be some kind of a serious writer, because he's not. He could be a really amazing pulp writer, which I think would be far better than, serious bro dude. Let's think about war and how to make peace. It's like, you don't have the instincts. I don't have the instincts either. I probably don't have the instincts to read that kind of crappy book either. All right, I will leave it there until I do a review on it. Hopefully tomorrow. All right, I've been Jay. More videos later.